Boeing, a giant of American industry and a symbol of technological prowess, has abruptly halted its operations in China, sending shockwaves through the global economy and marking what many are calling a geopolitical earthquake. For decades, Boeing's presence in China was not just about business, it was a testament to international cooperation and mutual ambition. The once symbolic relationship between Boeing and China, built over years of collaboration and trust, now lies shattered, its legacy reduced to memories and broken promises. This sudden halt represents a dramatic escalation in U.S. China economic tensions, potentially redefining the very nature of global trade. The world is watching as two economic superpowers recalibrate their strategies, with ripple effects reaching every continent. The decision by Beijing to impose stringent economic measures forced Boeing's hand, leaving the company with little choice but to withdraw. These sanctions are not just punitive, they signal a new era of assertiveness in China's economic policy. Boeing's crucial Zhoushan facility, once a landmark of partnership and innovation, now stands eerily silent, a monument to a broken relationship and a stark warning to other multinational corporations. The implications are vast, threatening a complex supply chain and putting thousands of jobs at risk on both sides of the Pacific. Families, communities, and entire industries now face an uncertain future as the economic fallout spreads. Airline stocks trembled and investors scramble to understand the impact. The uncertainty has sent shockwaves through financial markets, with analysts warning of long-term consequences for the aviation sector and beyond. The era of unchecked globalization may be closing, ushering in a volatile and unpredictable chapter. Supply chains are being redrawn, and the world's economic map is being rewritten in real time. The halt is a stark reminder that business and politics are inseparable, and that even the mightiest corporations are vulnerable to the shifting winds of international relations. As of August 15, 2025, the world holds its breath, waiting to see what comes next in this unfolding drama. The grounding of Boeing in China is more than a business setback. It is a turning point in modern history, a moment that will shape the future of international commerce and diplomacy. It will be studied and debated for years to come, as experts and historians try to unravel the causes and consequences of this unprecedented event. The global landscape has fundamentally changed, and the world must now adapt to a new reality, one where the future of international cooperation is more uncertain than ever before. To grasp today's gravity, we must look back at Boeing and China's 50-year relationship. It began in 1972, post-Nixon's China visit, with Boeing selling jets to China's national airline. This was more than a sale, it was a bridge between two worlds. As China's economy boomed, Boeing became the dominant aircraft supplier. By the early 2000s, China was a vital partner, not just a customer. Boeing integrated China into its supply chain, with Chinese companies manufacturing parts. The partnership peaked in 2018 with the Zhoushan facility, Boeing's first final assembly outside the U.S. It symbolized deep integration and seemed unbreakable. However, tensions brewed beneath the surface. The U.S. China trade war cast a long shadow, straining the relationship. Boeing found itself caught between two giants. The celebrated partnership became a vulnerability, leading to today's dramatic events. The story of Boeing in China is now the ultimate case study. The breaking point came swiftly, catching even seasoned industry watchers off guard. In a matter of hours, the world's attention shifted to a single seismic event. On August 12, 2025, China announced sweeping new national economic security measures, sending shockwaves through global markets and boardrooms alike. These measures were a direct response to escalating U.S. tariffs on Chinese technology, marking a dramatic escalation in the ongoing trade war between the world's two largest economies. Boeing's Zhoushan facility, a symbol of international cooperation and industrial might, was immediately targeted by the new regulations. The new rules made it impossible for Boeing to continue operations without handing over sensitive proprietary data, a demand the company could not accept. In an official statement, Boeing CEO David Calhoun expressed deep regret, acknowledging the profound impact this would have on employees, suppliers, and customers worldwide. The new regulatory environment made it untenable to continue operations, forcing Boeing to halt production and evacuate its workforce from the site. The sudden halt sent a chill through the entire aerospace industry, leaving workers anxious about their futures and executives scrambling for contingency plans. China was projected to account for nearly a quarter of Boeing's global deliveries over the next decade, making this shutdown a devastating blow to the company's long-term strategy. The Zhoushan plant had delivered over 60 aircraft per year, playing a crucial role in meeting the surging demand for air travel across Asia. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce defended its actions as necessary for national security, insisting that foreign companies must respect China's sovereignty and laws. This is a calculated act of economic retaliation, a clear message that China will not hesitate to use its market power as leverage in geopolitical disputes. Beijing is demonstrating its leverage over American corporations, reminding the world that access to its vast market comes with strings attached. The Zhoushan facility, once bustling with activity and innovation, is now eerily silent, a stark symbol of the new era of economic confrontation. Airlines awaiting new jets now face a logistical nightmare, with delivery schedules thrown into chaos and fleet expansion plans put on indefinite hold. The ripple effects are just beginning to be felt, as supply chains unravel, jobs are lost, and the global balance of power shifts in unpredictable ways. Boeing's sudden shutdown in China is more than just a ripple. It's a boulder dropped into the heart of U.S. manufacturing, sending shockwaves through the entire industry. Thousands of American companies, from small family-run workshops to large suppliers, depend on Boeing for their very survival. These businesses supply everything from tiny fasteners to complex avionics, and their livelihoods are now at risk. With the halt in production, demand for parts and components will plummet almost overnight. Warehouses will fill with unsold inventory, and assembly lines that once buzzed with activity will fall silent. Take Spirit Aerosystems in Wichita, Kansas, for example. They build the iconic 737 fuselage, a critical piece of Boeing's supply chain. When Boeing slows down, Spirit Aerosystems and its workers feel the impact immediately. Production lines pause and uncertainty grows on the factory floor. This means fewer orders, reduced hours, and the looming threat of layoffs for thousands of skilled workers who rely on steady contracts. The same story will play out in towns and cities across the country, as the effects ripple outward to every corner of the manufacturing sector. The halt serves as a brutal lesson in just how vulnerable global supply chains can be. One disruption can break links that took decades to build, causing delays and uncertainty everywhere. The impact goes far beyond financial losses. It strikes at the very core of American manufacturing confidence, shaking the belief that global partnerships are always reliable. For years, the Boeing-China partnership was the poster child for offshoring and international cooperation, symbolizing growth and opportunity. Now, that model looks increasingly risky. Boardrooms across America are rethinking their strategies, and investors are watching nervously as uncertainty grows. Other U.S. companies with operations in China are watching with alarm, wondering if they could be next to face such disruption. This uncertainty could spark a new wave of reshoring, as companies consider moving production back to the U.S. to regain control and stability. However, reshoring is not a simple or quick fix. It requires massive investments, new infrastructure, and a long-term commitment to rebuilding what was lost. Rebuilding domestic manufacturing takes years of planning, billions in investment, and a willingness to weather short-term pain for long-term gain. The U.S. may not even have enough skilled labor to absorb all the production coming back from China. Training a new generation of workers will be a major challenge. Still, the halt might spur a shift towards more resilient domestic supply chains, ones that can better withstand global shocks and keep American factories running. In the short term, though, the consequences will be painful. Lost jobs, shuttered plants, and a sense of uncertainty that will linger for years to come. Behind the headlines, there is a profound human cost. In Seattle, anxiety runs high as thousands depend on the 737 program. The threat of layoffs looms large. These are not just jobs, they are careers, often spanning generations. In China, the situation is equally dire. The Zhoushan employees were part of a proud aviation industry. Today, their security has vanished. The closure is a personal tragedy for hundreds of families. The impact extends to the next generation of workers. The industry's future looks uncertain, affecting talent development. This is a human crisis unfolding on two continents. The Boeing-China split signals a redrawn map of global trade. We're moving toward competing economic blocs. The era of frictionless global business is over. This new landscape presents risks and opportunities. The U.S. and allies may strengthen trade with friendly nations. Friendshoring could create resilient supply chains, however, it will be less efficient. China will accelerate its ambitions, reducing reliance on Western technology. The Boeing halt intensifies China's efforts to develop its aviation industry. This divided world will be less stable and prosperous. Global trade has lifted billions out of poverty. A world of competing blocs is more likely to be one of conflict. To understand this complex situation, I spoke with Dr. Evelyn Reed. She described the events as a calculated escalation in a long simmering conflict. Beijing is playing chess, not checkers. By targeting Boeing, China sends a clear signal that no American company is safe. Dr. Reed emphasized this is a pivotal moment in U.S. China relations. We are now in a new phase of strategic competition. The key question is whether this can be managed or will spiral into an economic Cold War. The actions taken by Washington and Beijing will be critical. Dr. Reed sees potential for a wake-up call for America. This crisis could galvanize reinvestment in American manufacturing. It exposes vulnerabilities in a way no report could. The biggest loser may be the global system itself. The rules-based international order is under threat. We are entering a more dangerous and unpredictable era. What happens next? The immediate future is fraught with uncertainty. The U.S. government and Boeing must manage the fallout. This involves talks with allies and assessing supply chain disruption. Diplomatically, communication with Beijing must remain open. The goal is to de-escalate and prevent further damage. For American businesses, this is a moment of reckoning. Companies must reevaluate their risk exposure to China. This will likely accelerate supply chain diversification. The corporate mantra will shift to resilience and security. The U.S. government must support domestic manufacturing. This is about strategic investment in economic security. The path forward is turbulent but must be navigated with care. Boeing's halted operations in China are a wake-up call. It marks the end of an era and the start of a challenging one. Economic integration was believed to lead to peace. Today, we confront the reality that this was a fragile hope. This moment forces us to ask fundamental questions about our future. The cost of complacency is now clear. The silent factories and anxious workers are a testament to past failures. This crisis is an opportunity to rebuild and reimagine. It is a chance to invest in American manufacturing and workers. The world watches to see how the U.S. responds. The choices we make will define our nation's trajectory. The story of Boeing in China is a warning. We must heed this warning and learn this lesson.